In this video, I want to talk you through the first 4 things that you should do when starting and running a business, plus one thing that a lot of people miss after that. Business owners are some of my best and worst clients. They're the best because there's so many things that you can do as a business owner from a financial planning perspective. They're the worst because it's so difficult to get them to take time out of their business to plan on the business instead of in the business. So here's the first 4 things that you need to do. First, you need to set up your entity. Second, you need to get an EIN. Third, you need to open a business bank account. And fourth, you need to set up your accounting. And the bonus step we'll talk about at the end. So first, we need to talk about forming your entity. This is when you're going to select whether you are going to be a sole proprietorship, an LLC, an S corporation, a C corporation. And this is both a tax and a legal decision. If you do nothing, you will default to being a sole proprietorship on your taxes. That may or may not be the best entity for you. I always recommend talking to your financial advisor, your tax professional, your legal professional for advice on which entity selection is best suited for you. An LLC is one of the most common ones, but there's still some nuance. Make sure you understand whether or not you should be making an S Corp election. One of the biggest mistakes that I see from business owners is they wait too long to formalize their structure and end up with unintended tax or legal consequences. The second thing you need to do is to get an EIN. It's very easy to do. You can go on the IRS's website and have one within a couple minutes. This is going to be the employer identification number, the same way you personally have a social security number. This number is going to be used to identify your business. You're going to need this number to open a bank account, to hire employees, for tax purposes, so make sure you go ahead and get it early on. The third thing you need to do is you need to open a business bank account. Not just a separate account in your name, but a separate business bank account that you use for all of your business transactions. This is going to help you separate personal expenses and business expenses so that you can really treat your business as a business and not just as a hobby that you personally are doing. Having these finances separate is going to be very helpful, especially if you're filing as an S corporation. It's also going to help you from a liability standpoint to keep these 2 things separate. If, for instance, you are an LLC filing as an S corporation, but you continually move dollars back and forth between your personal and business accounts, and there's no real distinction there, you lose a lot of the legal protection that you might get by having a separate entity for your business. One other tip here is one of the problems that I run into with a lot of my clients that are business owners is they keep way too much capital in the business account. What we want to do is move dollars out of the business into your personal accounts to make sure they're protected. If anyone were to ever sue your business, they can come after business assets. That's going to include owner's equity that's still in business accounts. So as much as possible, you want to move dollars out of the business accounts into your personal accounts, unless you anticipate using it for business expenses in the near future. On the flip side of that, you don't want to move everything out of the business into your personal accounts and then continually be moving dollars back into the business accounts for upcoming expenses. The fourth thing that you're going to need to do is set up some type of accounting system. I personally use QuickBooks for my business. It's critical that you do this correctly early on. It is very difficult to fix after the fact. You're going to want to track everything like income, expenses, owner's draws, tax payments. A good check in the gut is whether or not you can pull a profit and loss statement that's accurate within 5 minutes. If you can't, I would suggest that you go back and you revisit your accounting setup. So those are the first 4 things that you should do when setting up and running your business. The fifth one is a bonus one, and this is primarily for people who form LLCs, is whether or not you should elect to be filed as an S corporation. If you're going to make that election, you need to make that election within the first 75 days of setting up your business or the first 75 days of the calendar year. I'll be doing a separate video on when it does and when it does not make sense to elect to be filed as an S corporation. But the short version is if you have enough profits to justify the expense of electing S Corp taxation, then you should consider doing it. Obviously, consult with your tax professional and your financial advisor before you make that election. So again, those 4 things are: number 1, set up your entity; number 2, get an EIN; number 3, open a business bank account; and number 4, set up your accounting software. If you can do those things early on before you really start having a lot of income or expenses, it's really going to help both from a tax and legal standpoint. And if you're a business owner who you've been running your business but you haven't been doing these things well, you can clean it up. Feel free to reach out to us and we're happy to sit down with you and see how we can make things better.